Hi, welcome back to my channel. Here's a quick recap. In the principle of constructive alignment, the intended outcomes must be well defined. The learning activities and assessment tasks must be designed to help students achieve these outcomes. Now, let's look at a few lessons and examine if their learning outcomes, teaching and learning activities, and assessment tasks are constructively aligned. Here is an example of a science lesson with 3 learning outcomes or LOs. The first LO is to explain the process of photosynthesis in plants. This belongs in the cognitive domain of learning in level 2 understanding. To achieve this LO, the teacher plays a video about photosynthesis. The teacher then explains the process using a diagram, while the students fill in the blanks in a worksheet. To assess this LO, the students engage in a think, pair, share activity where they discuss the process of photosynthesis using the keywords provided. They were also encouraged to draw a diagram to help with their explanation. The second LO is to compare the leaves of a plant that has all the components needed for photosynthesis to one that has a component missing. This belongs in the cognitive domain in level 4 analysis. To achieve this LO, the teacher prepares 4 differently treated plants for students to observe over a week. To assess this LO, the students need to describe the differences between the leaves of the 4 plants and write a conclusion. The third LO is to research an environmentalist and explain how this person has advocated about our environment. This belongs in the affective domain in level 3, valuing. To achieve this LO, the teacher explains about what an environmentalist is and the importance of preserving our environment. Then, students are to look up a person who has contributed towards promoting environmental revolution. The assessment task consists of a round-robin activity where the students share their findings and show pictures while they explain. Overall, we can say that this lesson has good constructive alignment. Let's look at a few other examples. Pause the video and examine the alignment between the learning outcome, teaching and learning activities, and assessment tasks in each example here. Okay, the first one is similar to the LO we saw earlier. Explain the process of photosynthesis in plants. For the learning activity, it may help students get a better understanding of the process if visuals are used when explaining about photosynthesis. For the assessment task, drawing a diagram of photosynthesis does not actually assess the behavior stated in the LO, which is to explain. The verb used in the LO represents the kind of behavior students need to demonstrate at the end of the lesson. Hence, in this case, there is a misalignment. How about this math LO? Measure the internal angles of a triangle using a protractor. The action word here is to measure. Does the assessment task enable students to demonstrate the measuring of angles? Also, in the teaching and learning activity, the teacher explains the meaning of polygons and the properties of different types of triangles. Does this activity help students acquire the skills of using a protractor to measure angles? Looks like there are some missing elements in this math lesson. In a history lesson, the LO states that students should be able to explain the contributions of the Egyptian civilization to the world in terms of literature, architecture, and the sciences. In the teaching and learning activity, the teacher shows a video on early human civilizations and explains the timeline involved. Seems a bit too general, and there's no activity where students learn about the Egyptian civilization, much less its contribution to the world. In assessment, students are required to draw a diagram of the timeline of evolution and cultural development up to the Middle Ages. Again, this is not aligned to the content and the level of learning specified in the LO. Next is an LO in a PE lesson, where students need to perform a group dance activity that incorporates Star Wars music with coordinated movements and rhythms. This is an LO in the psychomotor domain. To achieve this outcome, the teacher demonstrates the movements of the stormtroopers. Do the students imitate these movements? If so, the emphasis on coordination is missing. The same goes for assessment tasks. To evaluate if the LO is achieved, the students were told to dance to their own selection of Star Wars music individually. This does not reflect the group coordination stated in the LO. Let me know in the comment section what you think of the constructive alignment in these examples. Join me in my next video and thanks for watching.